To the normal person, this is a bridge underneath a big city, a lot of traffic that's going overhead. But for me at one time in life, this is a place where I found shelter and comfort and a home. My backstory, growing up as a kid, never had a dad. He left when I was 6 months old. When my mom finally did remarry, when I was about 3, it was a gentleman from Vietnam. I was born in the 60s. He was very abusive. That was a tough time for him. And he took it out on a small child when my mom worked in the middle of the night. I remember being beaten, got a scar on my head, scar on my chest because of that. Those are things that will never go away. Because of those times, and my mom finally leaving him, that I really was struggling deep down on the inside. There's just this deep darkness. You're a child, you want love, you want acceptance, you want somebody just to care for you. And that I didn't have. And by the time I was 16 years old, I was already an alcoholic. I was already addicted to drugs. It wasn't long that when I was 16 years old, my mom couldn't handle it anymore. I was becoming a very bad influence to my younger brother, who was 6 years younger than me, a different dad. And she said, "Rob, you have to leave the house." And so I did. I won't forget the night. My grandmother was actually at home. She and my younger brother were gone. It was my grandmother that had to tell me, "That's it, Rob, you have to go." I was lost. I didn't know where to go, what to do, where to turn, especially in those dark moments where I just felt so abandoned. There was nobody there. It just seemed like darkness, that there was nothing. There was nobody that was there for me, period. I didn't know where to turn or what to do. In the city where I grew up, there's this big bridge called the Skyway Bridge. It's the mouth of Tampa Bay. Every freight ship that goes in goes underneath this bridge, and it's hundreds of feet up in the air. And in the middle of the night, as I was close enough to that bridge, I would look at it and I would think, you know, if I went to the top of that bridge and I jumped off it and literally just gave my life up, would anybody miss me? Would anybody care? Having that feeling of wondering, does anybody love? Is there any kind of compassion in this world? Why do I have to be alone when I see others that are flourishing in their life? That's something I never want to experience again. There was one day that I was looking for food, and when you're homeless, you just learn how to survive. And survival for me was sometimes behind restaurants. They throw away food at the end of the night, and that's where I could find a meal, right in a dumpster. And in that one dumpster one night that I was surfing through, there was a Walkman. And that happened to be tuned into a Christian radio station. It was WCIE, where Christ is everything. I'll never forget that radio station. At the very moment that I started listening to this Christian radio station, I just couldn't believe that there was really a God who loved me. Somebody was telling me, and I believed what they were saying. They were telling me, as if they were talking to me directly, that God loved me, that He had a purpose for me, that I was not a mistake. These are things that I'd never heard before. I knew that there was a God. I grew up hearing that about a God, but I never knew that He actually cared for me. That all the bad things that I have done, and I have done some bad things when I was a kid, that He actually accepted me for who I was. And that's somebody that I wanted a relationship for, that He actually, the guy on the radio said that He gave His Son for me. And here's the thing that really touched me, that really grabbed me, that if I was the only one ever to walk on the face of this earth, that Jesus still would have come and died for me. That hooked me right there. At the very moment on this Christian radio station, when this man named Dave Stewart started praying what he called the sinner's prayer, I said every word right after him. I confessed my sin. I asked Him into my heart to be my Lord, to be my Savior. And at that very moment, it's hard to really explain, because the experience of everything just going away, that I was actually forgiven, just lifted to me. I was still in the situation. Nothing had changed on where I was. I was under a bridge. Here I am listening to this station. I just knew that it's different. There's love, there's acceptance. And even though I did this to my life, God was beginning to do something totally different. And I could tell at that very moment that things were going to change. And that gave me so much hope. It was unreal.